Hey, what's going on guys? Trunkoso here, and welcome back to my countdown series, and in today's episode I'm going to be covering what are, in my opinion, the top 5 best map-exclusive guns in Call of Duty Zombies. Now for those of you who may not 100% understand what I meant when I said map-exclusive guns, allow me to briefly explain. So a map-exclusive gun is one that only appears on one map in a game or series. So for example, the Uzi in Black Ops 2 Zombies, as some of you may know, is a wall weapon that is only featured in Mob of the Dead and no other maps. And opposite to a map-exclusive gun, for example, there is the Galil, which is an AR that is present in all the maps in Black Ops 2. So for today, I'm only going to be focusing on the guns that are map exclusives. But anyways, now that you all hopefully understand me now, let's get into the top 5 map-exclusive guns in Call of Duty Zombies. Alright, so coming in at the number 5 spot, we have the Remington New Model Army from the map Buried. So I'm sure those of you who played Buried are very familiar with this ancient revolver from the Old West. Essentially being the substitute for the Python in this map, the Remington New Model Army is the high damage handgun that takes on the role of the beefy revolver that is good for getting zombies out of your way, and has a very high headshot multiplier that will grant you easy kills until about the mid 30 rounds. I personally think this gun is very fun to use, and it's perfect for the setting of Buried, which obviously is that of the cowboy-packed Old West from the late 1800s. But as cool and effective as this old school revolver is, I decided to give it the number 5 spot simply because it is a revolver at the end of the day, and while it again can kick plenty of ass, there are a plethora of other guns that are way better than it in said category. But still, I thought the New Model Army deserves some credit and was worthy of being on today's list. Thus, it is here at number 5. Coming in at number 4, we have the Rift E9, and I already know what some of you are probably thinking. Marco, why the hell did you put a gun from Infinite Warfare onto your list? Or maybe you're just confused because you forgot this thing actually exists and isn't from Infinite Warfare, but is actually on the Black Ops 3 map Revelations. I mean, I certainly forgot this thing existed, so I wouldn't blame you for being confused either, to be honest. Now admittedly, Revelations is probably my least played map in Black Ops 3, and really the only time I do play Rev nowadays is if I'm either doing a round 100 run or if I'm doing the Easter egg, but since I haven't done either of those in the last couple of years, I pretty much had no idea coming back that the map has several exclusive guns in the box, the Rift E9 being one of them. The Rift E9 is a 2-round burst energy pistol that at a first glance you might suspect it of being bad, but much to my surprise, this thing is an absolute monster, but especially after you pack-a-punch it. I think the gameplay you'll be seeing is me using it on like round 17 or round 18 where it's easily deleting the zombies, and even on round 50 in this game, it was still very effective, which totally caught me off guard. But unfortunately, my foolish ass forgot to record these rounds to actually show you how the Rift was performing.
You had one job.
Just the one?
But believe me, the Rift E9 is an absolute powerhouse, and if you haven't used it before or haven't played Revelations in a while, I'd go back and give this strange weapon a try. I think you'll be in for a bit of a surprise just as I was, and with that, the Rift E9 comes in at my number 4 spot today. And coming in at the number 3 spot, we have the Kalashnikov, or as it's more commonly known as the AK-47 from Mob of the Dead. To me, the AK-47 is one of those guns that holds a special place in my heart when it comes to video games, but especially in Call of Duty. However, there's been one thing that has always bothered me, and that is the fact that the AK has made almost 0 appearances in Zombies. It wasn't even in Black Ops 1 where it's available to use in the multiplayer. Why Treyarch didn't add it, who knows.
They're the bad guys.
Now it is in Cold War, but obviously in that game it isn't map exclusive, and you can spawn in with it from the start. No, see, throughout all the maps from World at War, Nocturne, and Tone until Tagged or Tone in Black Ops 4, we've only seen the OG AK-47 in one map across basically a whole decade of Zombies, and that is really depressing to me. The AK is only in the box in Mob of the Dead, but luckily it is an absolute beast. It has very high damage as well as a very high headshot multiplier for an AR, and it's more than capable of melting the zombies as well as the wardens when they spawn in, and if you're using Double Tap 2.0 you can easily use this rifle into the late 30s and early 40s. However, while the AK is a phenomenal weapon, I do have one complaint with it that in my opinion sort of discourages me from using it more than the Galil, which is the fact that the ammo for it is just really low for whatever reason. The starting ammo for the AK-47 non-pack-a-punched is decent. However, when you do pack-a-punch it into the Reznov's Revenge, cool name by the way, you only get 300 total rounds of ammo, which in my opinion is pretty pathetic and in my experience doesn't last more than a round or two depending on where you're at.
My disappointment is immeasurable, and my day is ruined.
Now if they gave the AK maybe like 500 rounds or so like the Galil, I think it would be perfect, but unfortunately it doesn't have that. However, despite its ammo issues, the AK is still a great gun, it's really fun to use, and generally if I'm hitting the box early on and I get it, I'll keep it around for a while. The AK-47 comes in at number 3. And coming in at number 2, we have the Marshal 16s from Zetsubo no Shima in Black Ops 3. These dual-wield shotgun pistols are among probably the most satisfying weapons you can use in all of zombies, and that's because they instantly delete anything in your path, whether it's a zombie, a thrasher, or a spider boss as you're going to see in the gameplay. And I think the best way to describe them is that they're basically if you took 2 executioners from the box in Black Ops 2 zombies and then gave them double the damage, if not more. The amount of power that these things have is absolutely insane. It really is a shame that the Marshals are only on one map in Black Ops 3 because I feel like they would have been really good on maps like Grod Krovi or Drak, but sadly they are only present on Zetsubo, although maybe it is for the better seeing how OP they actually are. And like I mentioned before, the Marshals absolutely shred through the Thrashers, which are some of the biggest bullet sponges in zombies, and trust me, when you're playing on ZNS, the very last thing you'll want is for you to be training and then there's like 4+ Thrashers on your ass. However, like the AK-47 from the last segment, the Marshals unfortunately also share a noticeable flaw in that the ammo count for them isn't exactly the strongest. I think you get around like 230 shots, but seeing as every shot uses 2 rounds, and when you consider that you're going to be spending a lot of time reloading this thing, you'll come to find that you're going to be low on ammo a lot. But if you're more conservative with your shots and you have an alternate primary weapon and treat the Marshals more of like a backup or support weapon, you shouldn't have that many ammo issues. But despite that, the Marshals are still awesome and they come in at number 2. Okay guys, so as usual, before I dive into my number 1 spot, I wanted to give some honorable mentions because admittedly this list was sort of difficult to make and I was mainly just going off of my favorites, but still I wanted to give the following guns some credit because they're all so great. As the first honorable mention, I have the M27, which is an AR exclusive to Nuketown zombies, and overall it's a very good AR that has a good amount of damage and a decent amount of ammo, but the reason I kept it off is mainly because I don't really play Nuketown that often, but I think it's still a fantastic gun that can definitely compete with the Galil. And secondly, I have the Uzi from Mob of the Dead, and the Uzi is a fantastic wall-buy gun, and it's very fun to use because of its high fire rate, its damage, and its effectiveness at killing Brutus, but the reason I didn't keep it on was because the ammo with it is very poor and the magazine size itself is also very small, so it always feels like you're running out. But I'd say in the early to mid game, it's a pretty solid choice for a primary weapon. And finally, there's 2 guns from Origins, which are the Scorpion Evo and the MG08. The Scorpion Evo is a badass SMG that has an extremely high rate of fire and great damage, but once again, you just go through the ammo so fast that I don't think it's worth keeping long term, but it still is pretty good. And then the MG08 is an LMG that actually has a great amount of ammo and damage, but the only reason I kept it off the list was because the mobility issues that I have with the LMGs, and the fact that Origins also has elemental staffs and a variety of other guns to use. But now that I went over the honorable mentions, it's now time to cover my number 1 spot. And coming in at the number 1 spot is the best map-exclusive gun in zombies we have, the one and only ScarH from the map Origins in Black Ops 2. This gun straight up is a monster, man. And in my opinion, it's nearly perfect, and along with the Galil, I believe it's actually one of the best examples of how an AR in zombies should be. The reason the SCAR is in my number 1 spot is for a variety of reasons, but it's mainly because I think it stands above the others on this list, and really the vast majority of weapons in its class. The ScarH has essentially everything you would want in a box AR. Firstly, it has unusually high damage for a rifle, as it can kill with a single headshot non-packed until about round 10, and I know that doesn't sound too crazy, but considering this is a gun that isn't upgraded yet or has double tap, this is definitely an above average statistic for the ARs, but if you were to add double tap, the non-upgraded SCAR can kill zombies until the mid-20s, which is still very impressive if you ask me. However, when you upgrade the SCAR into the Agarthan Reaper, it goes from doing pretty good damage to straight up Chris Brown hitting Rihanna in the face damage.
He said it! He said it!
If you have the Agarthan Reaper and get double tap, you can very easily kill zombies until the 40s if you're going for headshots, and again, there aren't many rifles and zombies that can pull this off. Along with this very high damage, the SCAR also boasts a very healthy ammo count of 480 rounds pack-a-punch, so that means as long as you're going for headshots, the chances are you won't have that many ammo issues until you get into those higher rounds. But while those 2 benefits of the gun are great, the most important reason I chose the SCAR for the number 1 spot is that it actually is extremely effective at killing the Panzers, which are the boss enemies of Origins. Anyone who's played Origins before knows that Panzers can be difficult to kill sometimes if you don't have a staff or a ray gun Mark II. So getting the SCAR early on in your game, assuming you don't have either of those yet, is one of the best things that can happen, because even a non-upgraded SCAR in round 8 will shred through that first Panzer, and once you upgrade it, it can kill them within seconds in the high rounds, which can be super convenient in the times when your wonder weapon ammo is pretty low. Now again, the stabs in the Mark II are always going to be the best choices for killing the Panzers, however, the fact that the SCAR is effective at said task, in my opinion, really improves the value of the weapon, and also adds to the gameplay in a good way, as the player won't always have access to the wonder weapons right from the start, so in these situations, the SCAR is probably the best gun you can have. But even once you're set up, I still think the gun is a very solid choice to have as a primary or mule kit gun, given its power and overall effectiveness in the map. The ScarH is one of my favorite guns in all of Zombies, and out of every gun that's only been present on one map, I think the ScarH also happens to be the best, and to me at least is the most memorable of the Origins 4. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why the ScarH from Black Ops 2 Origins comes in at the #1 spot on today's list. With that being said, that's going to conclude today's top 5, and as always, if you enjoyed this video, then don't forget to drop a like, and also if you're brand new to my channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on post notifications. I mainly post Zombies content, so if you're into that, consider subscribing. And also, if you think there's a gun I missed that you thought deserved to be in today's video but didn't make it, or if you agreed or disagreed with anything I said, feel free to leave a comment down below, as I love replying to you guys and hearing your opinions and thoughts. But anyways, thank you very much for taking the time to watch my video, and until next time guys, this is Trunkoso signing off. See ya!